I'm Rachel. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are headed over to Point Pleasant, West Virginia in Mason County. Point Pleasant is in the confluence of the Ohio and Kanawha rivers. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It has a population of about 4,000. It's well known to paranormal enthusiasts for its legend and folklore of the infamous Mothman. So since it's Halloween, I thought it would be a great time for us to head over, and by us, I mean me, Maggie, and Peas are heading over to check out all of the local sites and attractions and historical landmarks associated with the Mothman prophecy. Then you'll be able to see the take of a person who's a little bit skeptical and not much into believing in the supernatural, but super interested in folklore, and someone who is like a supernatural aficionado back there. Maggie, she's like a very sensitive, really in tune with her surroundings type person, and she has plenty of stories to share with us about her knowledge of this area. This is near where she's from, so let's go. For those who have been living under a rock as I had been, I didn't know much about Mothman. I knew there was a movie and a book, but that's literally all I knew about it. Let me give you a little bit of Mothman 101. So Mothman is supposed to be a 10-foot tall with a wingspan of 10 feet, huge humanoid creature, dark, ominous looking, with large bat or moth-like wings and red glowing beady eyes. Supposedly he flies around the area here and terrorizes people. Mothman is primarily seen in the Point Pleasant area. He has been known to be seen all over different locations in the US. Even heard rumors about him being spotted at the World Trade Center on 9/11. Mothman's main reign of terror in this area was November 13th, I believe, 1966 through December 15th, 1967 at the time of the Silver Bridge collapse. I have described Mothman as kind of like an infamous, ominous character. There are a lot of people who believe that he may have been like a superhero kind of guy, like warning us ignorant humans of impending doom or danger. Legend of Mothman. On a chilly fall night in November 1966, two young couples drove into the TNT area north of Point Pleasant, West Virginia, when they realized they were not alone. What they saw that night has evolved into one of the great mysteries of our time. Hence, the Mothman legacy began. It had grown into a phenomenon known all over the world by millions of curious people asking questions. What really happened? What did these people see? Has it been seen since? It still sparks world curiosity. The mystery behind Point Pleasant, West Virginia's Mothman. This sculpture was created by artist and sculptor Bob Roach of New Haven, West Virginia. Mr. Mothman, I am wondering, what exactly are you? Okay, no comments. That's okay. How old are you? So apparently it's not polite to ask a Mothman his age. Okay, Mr. Mothman, at least answer me this question. What is your workout routine? Because I want to know how I get shredded like that. Diet and workout instructions for me here. He's not much of a talker, ladies. Sounds like one to take home to mama.
Well, I don't know. I'm getting a shot of his crotch. So.
And of course, she had to go up close and inspect. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the first sighting of Mothman, because this first sighting was not actually reported at first. And it was about 50 miles to the west of Point Pleasant in a place called Clendenin, West Virginia, and it was at Kuntz Cemetery. Reportedly, what happened was a man named Kenneth Duncan was digging a grave for his father-in-law, Homer Smith, and while they were digging, him and four other people who were laboring with him saw something out of their peripheral fly out of the woods, fly up, and swoop over top of them and fly east towards Point Pleasant. And it was described exactly how later descriptions of him were. And this man said that it was only in sight for about 1 minute, but that they had never seen anything like that. And of course, nobody's going to believe you, if you tell people you saw this crazy creature. So what they had done is just told a few close friends about this encounter, and probably nothing else would have came from this, but the reports started in Point Pleasant shortly after that. The first newspaper reporting was in the Point Pleasant Register, and it had talked about two couples that had both had similar stories reported on November 12th, 1966, of having a large man-like creature with big bat wings and red glowing eyes fly alongside of their vehicle, follow them, stalk them, whatever. It scared them to death enough that they went and reported it to authorities. Both couples had been traveling near the TNT area. Wonder what they were going to be doing there. A little makeout sesh or something. I think that was the makeout area because it was kind of abandoned at this time. Since that time, many other people had reported seeing Mothman, and it was similar stories, him chasing their car or like seeing him flying around. One lady reported that he followed her home and actually landed on her porch and peered in, but no one ever reported being like actually physically attacked or harmed by Mothman. So the original Silver Bridge was constructed in 1928, and it was a suspension bridge by design with links similar to those of a bicycle chain holding it in place. So there would have been a pin going in through the hole of another piece of steel and kind of like an end cap that would have screwed on to the base of that. Since this original bridge would have been a suspension bridge, it would have been suspended and it would have used tension. So there would have been natural movement going back and forth and up and down on the bridge. You would have felt when you were driving across your car. So any like weird movement, I think people would have gotten accustomed to. So as cars would pass, the weight would increase and decrease on those joints of that chain link that I was talking about. Silver Bridge connects Ohio to West Virginia. On December 15th, 1967, the entire bridge collapsed like in a domino effect within under a minute, resulting in 45 deaths. So imagine the scene. It would have been cold and chilly that evening. There would have been people, it was like 5 p.m. So it would have been during like people's commutes home from work. And I guess it was a little bit of like snow flurries going on. A lot of people returning home from shopping. It was right around Christmas time. Suddenly people were saying they saw a dreadful figure. Some were reporting it being perched on the top of the bridge, and others were saying that it was swooping down across the bridge, like over top of the bridge. Suddenly they hear this noise, like this crushing metallic screeching noise, and that was when the pin broke and the chain link on the chain link busted, starting a chain reaction, a literal chain reaction of each of the suspensions falling, each of those links falling down and caving in on the entire bridge. Some accounts I've heard from people that I have talked to, one person said that their grandfather was flung from their vehicle and was actually hanging on a piece of metal suspended in the air, was able to be rescued, but while he was hanging there in fear for his life, seeing people pressed up in the back of their windows trying to get out of their vehicles. Another account I'd heard was of someone in their car waiting to cross the bridge and seeing all of this unfold before them, and the tragedy of witnessing this and not being able to do anything, like watching it all helplessly, people floating up, like I said, towards the rear windows of their car, banging to get out, those being crushed by falling debris, Christmas presents floating in the water because it was so close to the holidays. Just a sad reminder of family members who would not be spending another Christmas with their families. And while not all accounts on December 15th's collapse involve people seeing Mothman prior to the tragic event, many do. So the question remains, did he try to warn them? Did he cause the events? Or was it just a harsh reality of what happened? And those not being able to deal had to have someone to blame, and so Mothman was the perfect scapegoat. 1969, though, the Silver Memorial Bridge was constructed. This is it right here. And apparently they had just repainted it, and I'll insert a clip of that in the video. The Silver Bridge disaster on December 15th, 1967, about 1 mile downstream from the historic marker, a national tragedy occurred. 46 interstate travelers lost their lives when Silver Bridge collapsed into the Ohio River during 5 o'clock rush hour traffic. The 2,235-foot two-way vehicular bridge connected Point Pleasant, West Virginia, Cayuga?
Where is it?
Cayuga,
yeah.
Cayuga, Ohio via U.S. Route 35. The West Virginia Ohio River Bridge Company built the structure in 1928 for $1.2 million. The bridge, unique in its engineering conception, was the first of its design in America and the second in the world. Instead of woven wire cable, the bridge was suspended on heat-treated eye-bar chains. It was named the Silver Bridge because it was the first in the world to be painted with an aluminum paint. In 1969, 2 years later, its replacement, the Silver Memorial Bridge, was dedicated. Okay, Maggie. So I told them you were going to tell us the story of, was it your grandfather that, or your dad that helped
My
get
dad,
people out? Okay.
he was coming back from a date night with his lady friend at the time, because there was nothing up where we're from. He was down in Gallipolis, and when they were coming up or back home, that's when everything was happening. So he stopped and he was pulling people out of the river. That his stories that he told about it freaked me the hell out. That's another contributing factor of my fear of bridges. Plus, around here, I never knew this until she said it, but a lot of other people thought I was the only fraidy cat. No, it's a thing around here. People don't like bridges, and now you know why. So, yeah, it was horrific the suffering that they had to do, not being able to get out of the cars, and then for my dad for any of the people to have to see that pulling deceased people out of the water. It was pretty traumatic.
Just wanted to share with you guys that when you're heading over to Point Pleasant, there is a little rest area stop on the way that has one of the Silver Bridge eye bars posted out front, so you can take a look at it and kind of see how it was constructed, I should say. I thought that was pretty interesting to be able to take an up-close look at it. I also believe that the museum, not the Mothman Museum, but the other museum in Point Pleasant has one on display, the actual one that broke. And just wanted to show you a little bit of the memorial plaques that they had at this rest area. So the next stop is the TNT area, and we also went to the Mothman Museum in Point Pleasant, and we have a lot of footage to share, and this video is also getting pretty long already, so I'm going to go ahead and make that a part 2. I hope that you'll join me over there, and make sure that you do hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when I upload. I know you don't want to miss any more of this riveting content, and a special impromptu interview with one of the employees at the museum there. You don't want to miss it. Thanks, guys.
Is he recording us? Yeah. What the hell? He don't talk, but he'll record.